An abundance mindset can transform how we make financial decisions and plan for the future. It starts with adopting positive money scripts, seeing money as a tool for achieving goals rather than a source of stress. This mindset encourages strategic saving and investing, fostering financial stability. Emotions play a significant role in our financial choices. Fear can lead to impulsive decisions like prematurely selling investments, while positive emotions like gratitude can encourage prudent spending and saving. Financial literacy is crucial. Risk tolerance is another key factor. Knowing how much risk you can comfortably take helps align your investments with your long-term goals. Balancing analytical decision-making with intuitive insights can lead to better outcomes. Mindfulness practices like meditation and journaling help manage financial stress, leading to more thoughtful decisions. Embracing an abundance mindset fosters proactive financial behaviors, paving the way for lasting financial well-being.
Cliff, when you work with people, what advice do you give about balancing analytical decision making with intuitive insights?
Hmm. Well, I guess what I would say about that is there's something to be said about following your energy, following your heart, and recognizing that what rationally we believe is the right answer or the responsible thing to do, we have to always ask ourselves, does the path that I'm considering right now, does it have a heart? Because there are many times when it seems like, based upon what we've been taught, what we've heard from others, what we've been conditioned to believe, and what we've been taught is important by others, really in fact is nothing more than a bunch of beliefs and made up paths that other people have agreed upon. And whether or not, a lot of people come to me and say, Cliff, I need to know which direction is the right direction for me to go down. And what they'll do is they'll tell me, hey, there are these two paths, this divergence that I need to go on. I should either go down this path, which seems to be more responsible, lots more money involved. There seems to be more job security and all this other stuff. But there's this one thing over here. I can't get to sleep at night because I'm so distracted thinking about this thing and how much I would love to do this thing. And what I recommend is that you find out what is it about this that you love, the thing that keeps you up at night, just dreaming and visualizing of what could be, and is there an element that can bring about some of the certainty and some of the security and some of the other things? Is it impossible that you could have both? Is it possible that you could bring something that you love to the responsible path that you feel is the logical choice? But ultimately, in the end, what I definitely encourage people to do is not just follow and choose the what seems to be the rational, logical decision that seems to be something that I don't think anybody in my family or anybody else that I know in my friend circle or anything like that, these people won't question if I go down this path. So many people choose that path and reject the thing that their heart is saying. And there was a teaching, I think it was the teachings of Don Juan or something like that by Carlos Castaneda. And one of the teachings of Don Juan was this teaching that, does the path that you're on have a heart? And so there's something about that intuition that I think should not be ignored. And I know there have been a number of times in my life that I've gone really far down the rational path, only to recognize that at some point I left my heart somewhere behind. And I've never failed in life whenever I've chosen to follow my heart.
Hmm. I want to get a little insight into what types of questions to ask. Like, if you have somebody who has negative money scripts that are driving scarcity based financial decisions, what are the right questions to be asking oneself to make a change?
Well, when we're talking about my AFFORMATIONS method, we are looking at specific formulation of empowering questions. There are, of course, many different types of empowering questions, but my AFFORMATIONS method deals with a specific formulation. So, as I mentioned, growing up poor, I had scarcity thinking, it took me years and years and years to realize, number one, that I was doing that. Number two, how to break out of that. So when I discovered AFFORMATIONS in 1997, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. This is so powerful. And yet it's so simple, because I've been thinking really very disempowering thoughts my whole life. Like, why am I so stupid? Why can't I do anything right? Why does nothing ever work out for me? And the point is, because of the embedded presupposition factor of the brain, you're going to find the answer to those questions. And so when I flipped the script and I said, why am I so smart? Why am I doing the right thing? Why am I in the right place at the right time? Then I started to actually have those things happen. So when you're looking at those, one of the things I like to do with my clients is look at where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, right? Because there are always trends that are happening. The economies go up and down and so forth. And as Warren Buffett has famously said, you don't get to see who's swimming naked until the tide goes out. So for the last few years, online business, where we've been, online business has been really great, and I have an online business. I have one for 30 years now. And yeah, it's great, because people are staying home. They didn't have anything to do, right? Well, now that the pandemic's over, that's where we're at. And people are they're taking a lot more time to make decisions. Before it was a lot of impulse buying. I'm not saying people don't do that. Of course they do, but they're taking a lot more time. And where we're going is, you really need a lot more touch points, for those people who are in the service industry or in the expert industry. You're going to need a lot more touch points to really have people trust you. Why? Because, of course, so many of us have been ripped off by the gurus, right? I paid them over $500,000 only to find out there's no there, right? They can't use the paper bag. And so the point is, people, because trust is so low, you have to really do a lot more work, frankly, than we ever had to earn people's trust. And money follows trust. So that's really the kind of questions and the kind of formulation that I help my clients with.
Yeah, trust and money certainly are linked. Rachel, how do you help women and mothers to shift their financial mindset to see money as a tool for empowerment rather than a source of stress?
Well, I believe women need to know their finances. It's one of those things where I grew up and I kind of defaulted on it. I didn't take it as my role for so long in life. And then I went through tremendous financial issues that I ended up documenting and sharing how I moved from this place of hidden poverty to becoming where I am now. And one of the tools is for women is you have to know your starting point. You have to know your money. You have to be comfortable talking about money. Because that's another thing. Growing up in the 80s, what money was one of those things where we don't talk about how much we earn. We didn't talk about that. I learned very quickly it was a hush hush topic. And I wanted for women that it became a place where we could dialogue, and we could dialogue about money without shame. Because as soon as shame is put on with anything, on money specifically, it's that negative mindset. It's limiting, it's disempowering. And so I wanted to, let's start the dialogue. I'm going to share where I came from so that you can see where to go next. One of the most empowering things I've taught women, or that I've learned, was from, I believe it was Ken Honda, where he talked about saying arigato, which is Japanese for thank you, anytime you exchange money. And I started adopting that practice as I was getting myself out of debt, rebuilding my life. This was in my single mom years when all the financial burdens was on me. And I started, instead of having that nervousness in giving money, I started saying arigato, thank you. I was exchanging the money, and I was teaching this to other women. And then when I would receive money, it was the same thing, arigato, thank you. And I kept saying, this is very powerful because it takes off that emotional energy that's negative with money. It makes it an exchange, this resource, this positive thing. And that one mindset shift, along with, figuring out where I was coming from, has really helped, along with teaching women, you need to know, you need to be empowered, you need to understand money, and not out of a place of fear, but out of a place of, you know what, I can work with it, and I can be grateful with it, and I can say thank you with it, and all things are possible.
I like that, saying thank you to your money. Gay, I want to ask you, it's inevitable that we're going to make financial mistakes. What strategies do you suggest to people to reframe financial failures as opportunities for growth?
Well, the metaphor I like to teach our students is that use the metaphor of the automatic pilot on an aircraft. You put in some coordinates. You say, I'm going to fly from LaGuardia to LAX. And yet what happens actually second to second, minute to minute, is that it drifts off, the airplane drifts off that coordinate. And then it has a program in it that says we're drifting to the right, let's correct to the left. And then it drifts a little to the left, and it has a program that says let's correct back to the center again. And so it goes along doing that literally thousands of times a minute. Those computations are made. And that's important because the automatic pilot gets you to the destination by being wrong most of the time, because it has a singular capacity to recommit. And so we say here that it's recommitment that will actually get you there, not just commitment, but you have to be willing to take the drift and make the shift. That's the slogan we use here. Notice the drift and make the shift, because everybody's going to be having fear come up, or it's the very nature of business that things are going to come at you that you hadn't expected before. And you kind of expect that if you're a serious business person, that things are going to come along that require your engaging a whole different type of thought process to transcend whatever the given limitations are of the moment.
So helpful. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining. If you've just joined us, you're watching our live stream, The Mindset of Abundance, Unlocking Your Financial Potential. Please drop a comment where you're watching from, and appreciate you sharing this live stream with somebody who would appreciate it and enjoy it. And we're going to move to segment 4.